a beautiful American philanthropist, a mission to help orphans in post-communist Romania, and a legion of online supporters. It's a perfect story. But in late 2025, in the wake of a personal tragedy, this story was twisted into something sinister. Following the assassination of her husband, the conservative activist Charlie Kirk, a different narrative about his widow, Erika, exploded online. Suddenly, her charity work was depicted not as a noble cause, but as a monstrous cover for a child trafficking ring.
Erika ran it. American, blonde, voice like a scalpel. She never touched the children, she just priced us. Club paradise. That's what they call the shipping containers behind the PX. Red lights, padlocks, a jukebox playing American rock, while screamed. 8-year-olds, 12-year-olds. Some so drunk they didn't know their own names.
This narrative, which erupted in September 2025, painted a picture of a celebrated hero as a depraved villain. It was a story of good versus evil so shocking that millions were captivated. But was any of it true? Tonight, we're investigating the investigation. We're peeling back the layers of viral claims and anonymous sources to find out what is fact and what is fiction. Because the truth behind the online campaign against Erika Kirk is a stark lesson in modern political warfare and the weaponization of misinformation.
The story that spread like wildfire was terrifyingly specific. It centered on Erika Kirk, formerly Erika Francvi, and her nonprofit, Everyday Heroes Like You. Her Romanian Angels project was presented as a noble effort to bring aid to orphans in Constanța, Romania. But according to a flood of social media posts, this was a carefully constructed lie. The allegations were chilling. The Romanian Angels project, they claimed, was a front for a child trafficking ring. Anonymous accounts alleged Kirk wasn't just delivering gifts, she was sourcing children. To add weight to these claims, online posters pointed to unrelated news articles about trafficking in Romania, some published when Kirk was just a teenager, to create a misleading collage of evidence. Posts insisted that Kirk was even banned from Romania for her alleged crimes.
As according to one of the former children, now an adult, the former child, now an adult, who was adopted out of Antonio's placement center, that is notably a corrupt orphanage. Okay, this is, and she's referring to Antonio's placement center, just to make it clear for you guys, Everyday Heroes is her 501c3, and then they do various projects. This was called the Romanian Angels Project, and they did this. The Romanian Angels, so to speak, were living at Antonio's placement center in Constanța, Romania, where our base was. And I'm going to read you this email from someone who was placed from the Antonio Placement Center. It reads, "Dear Candace, I am writing to share personal historical context regarding the Antonio Placement Center in Constanța, Romania, which may be relevant to your reporting on Erika Kirk and the Romanian Angels Project. While independent fact-checkers have found no evidence linking Ms. Kirk's work to illicit activities, I believe the history of the Antonio Placement Center warrants further investigation. I was personally placed in this center under dubious circumstances involving misdiagnosis and institutional pressure before being adopted internationally. This center in particular, notorious for corruption and illicit activities such as trafficking children, which is why I was shocked that out of all of the placement centers in Romania, this was a center that she chose to partner with."
It was a bombshell story of unimaginable evil hiding in plain sight, and the internet was convinced it had exposed a monster. When a story this explosive goes viral, it rightly attracts scrutiny. But when journalists and independent fact-checkers at organizations like PolitiFact, WRAL, and Snopes began to dig into the claims, they didn't find a smoking gun. Instead, they found that the entire narrative began to unravel. Investigators asked a simple question: where is the proof? The online accounts were loud, but provided no official reports, on-the-record witnesses, or documents to substantiate their claims. Fact-checkers reviewed Romanian media archives and court records. They found no evidence of Kirk being involved in trafficking, nor any record of her being banned from the country. In fact, the Romanian media reports from the time of her involvement were positive. The entire scandal, it turned out, existed almost exclusively in the realm of social media posts and anonymous blogs. With the most lurid parts of the story debunked, investigators turned to the location at the heart of the Romanian Angels Project, the Antonio Placement Center in Constanța. Here, the conspiracy theorists seem to be on firmer ground. Romania, and Constanța specifically, does have a documented and tragic history of issues with child trafficking and corruption in its orphanage system, both before and after Kirk's involvement. For many online, this was proof enough. Why would a legitimate charity work in such a troubled region? This is where the story pivots from fiction back to reality. Fact-checkers found that Kirk's nonprofit, Everyday Heroes Like You, did indeed work with the Antonio Center between roughly 2011 and 2015. However, their involvement wasn't in adoptions or child placement.
Okay, so this video was posted 12 years ago on her personal page, and most of the video is just clips of her giving gifts to orphans. However, I want to pay attention to this thank you message at the end that thanks Colonel Busher.
It consisted of donating gifts. Oana Prisicariu, the vice president of United Hands Romania, a local organization that partnered with Kirk, confirmed this to reporters. She stated that Kirk personally sponsored gifts for the children, and that was the extent of the collaboration. Prisicariu added, "We never heard or received any bad reports about her personally." The project's flyers show the program allowed people to adopt a child for the holidays by purchasing an item from their wish list to be sent as a gift. The reality was far more mundane than the conspiracy. Kirk's project was a gift drive, not a trafficking pipeline.
Erika just can't remember. She can't remember how she knows him. She can't remember how she met him. It must. She said to me, maybe it was through a senator. Specifically, that's what she said to me in person. She said it might have been through a senator. I think it could have been through a senator. I think it definitely could have been through a senator. Honestly, the vibes are vibing here.
Another pillar used to prop up the conspiracy was a connection to the notorious trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. The claim floating around was that Erika Kirk had connections to Next Model Management, a company co-founded by Faith Cates, who had extensive and undeniable email contact with Epstein long after his 2008 conviction. Given Epstein's known predation on young women, this link seemed to tie the entire narrative together.
Their Next Model Management in New York City, Faith Cates, who was the co-founder of it, had to step down because of her involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. She's like in his emails like 4,000 times, even after he got arrested for pedophilia. She's like, I will never betray you. I will never, ever betray you. Like, I've got your back to the end. She was very close. I mean, look, she's inviting him here in this email to her son's bar mitzvah. It's not great. The relationship that Faith Cates had with Jeffrey Epstein, Eastern European models all around Next Model Management Office. He was helping this model agency in particular. And so I decided to see if I could get some more people to verify that Erika was involved. What was she doing? Was she modeling? No. Well, I was able to confirm it, not just once, not twice, 3 times, 4 times with people with direct knowledge that Erika Kirk was multiple times taking meetings at Next Model Management and dealing with the people, like the suits that would surround Faith Cates, people like Jeffrey Epstein. Now, they did not say they saw her meeting with Jeffrey Epstein, but they said essentially Jeffrey Epstein was always there.
But once again, when investigators looked for proof, the connection dissolved. The assertion came from anonymous online sources with no evidence placing Erika Kirk in that circle. While Faith Cates' link to Epstein is a documented fact, there is no credible evidence connecting Kirk. She was a contestant in the Miss USA 2012 pageant, but had no documented role in the management of that organization or Next Model Management. This is a classic tactic of modern disinformation, guilt by loose association. By taking a real, verified piece of information, like the corruption at a modeling agency, and then attaching a target's name to it without proof, a powerful smear is created. Fact checks were clear. Claims linking Kirk to a trafficking operation were rated false or baseless by every major organization that investigated them. The allegations against Erika Kirk didn't surface out of nowhere. The claims exploded across social media in September 2025, immediately following the assassination of her husband, Charlie Kirk, and her subsequent appointment as the new CEO of Turning Point USA. The timing was significant. The campaign against her was less about uncovering old crimes and more about contemporary political warfare. The story was not an organic discovery, but a targeted attack, leveraging real-world tragedies like Romania's historical orphan crisis and the horrific crimes of Jeffrey Epstein to destroy a political opponent. According to a WRAL report, accounts amplifying the claims also posted unrelated articles from as far back as 2001 to create a misleading narrative. As of May 2026, no new evidence has emerged to substantiate any of the trafficking allegations. There have been no criminal charges filed, no victims have come forward on the record, and no credible sources have corroborated the story. The story weaponized against Erika Kirk is a stark reminder of how easily misinformation can take root. It preys on our deepest fears and our genuine desire to protect the vulnerable. But outrage without evidence is dangerous. It diverts attention from the real work of fighting trafficking and instead focuses it on fictional narratives designed for political gain. If you believe in the importance of separating fact from fiction, please share this information. Spreading awareness about how these campaigns operate is one of the most effective ways to combat them. And if you want to support more deep dives that hold misinformation accountable, please subscribe. The narrative of Erika Kirk as a mastermind of a child trafficking ring is a house of cards, built on a foundation of misconstrued facts, unrelated events, and anonymous smears. When examined, each claim falls apart, revealing not a conspiracy of evil, but a conspiracy of disinformation. The online attacks weren't a scalpel cutting to the truth. They were a blunt instrument, designed to cause maximum damage through sensationalism and fear. In an age where a lie can travel around the world before the truth can get its boots on, the responsibility falls on each of us to ask hard questions, demand evidence, and refuse to be pawns in someone else's information war. The real tragedy is not a fictional conspiracy, but the very real way these tactics erode our trust and our ability to confront actual evil in the world.